Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today, we take a look at the recent debate between Shamoun and Dr. Khalil Andani on the Islamic Dilemma. What was meant to be an insightful debate turned out to be a full-on class on how to evade direct questions, but Shamoun, once again, stands on business. Without wasting much time, let's get into the video.
Sure. Yeah.
You think the Quran is revelation, and therefore that Christians and Jews who believe that the God of Abraham sent these prophets, if they are consistent, they're going to have to believe that God sent Muhammad, and the most obvious thing to do is follow him. The Christians come back and say, well, hold on. Since you claim that the same God of Abraham sent you and that your message agrees with the prophets, well, here are the scriptures that we have in our possession from the prophets. We don't see you're consistent with them, and that's grounds to reject you as a false prophet. You're now coming back. I want you to hear yourself, and I know you are. You're now coming back and saying, well, see, internally, the Quran says the scriptures are not fully intact. So then you're using the Quran to show which parts are intact, and those parts that contradict the Quran are false, which then leads a Christian to say, exactly, that's what false prophets do. That's what Joseph Smith does. That's what everyone does. When the Bible exposes them as a fraud, see, your Bible's corrupt. Therefore, that's part of the dilemma. That's why we call Islamic dilemma.
No, so I think what's going on here is you're not actually employing the Islamic dilemma in its original way. So,
But hold on a minute. If this isn't the Islamic dilemma, then what is? Because what we all know as the Islamic dilemma is what Sam just laid out clearly.
Again,
that's all my debate.
Is the Islamic dilemma, is it an internal critique? Because that's what everybody says.
The Islamic dilemma, let me again, because you said I'm not applying consistently. Have you watched all my debates, read all my articles to know?
I've read a ton of your stuff. I've been binging your stuff for the last month. So, and Jay Dyer as well. So
hopefully I'll be closer to Christ. Now, let me explain to you the dilemma. The dilemma is this. If the Quran sets forth the argument that the scriptures of the Jews and Christians that they have is to be determinative for them to know whether the Quran confirms what is with them, because that's the argument. Let's bring up my screen again.
Okay, that's not the argument.
Well, let me show you. No, remember, you did concede. There are various ways of interpreting these passages, so I'm not committed to your explanation. I'm going to critique your explanation.
Where does the Quran say? Yeah, okay, sure. Show me. Yeah.
The very passage you quoted, 242, you didn't quote 40 or 44. Let me go through this. And this is where you beg the question saying, well, confirm doesn't mean everything, because here's stories refuting it, which refuted actually nothing. It actually pushed the dilemma back further and caused more difficulties for your position, if I can articulate it. Here, let's go to 289. When there came to a book from God confirming what is with them, and they aforetime prayed for victory over the unbelievers, when there came to them that they recognized they disbelieve in it, and the curse of God is on the believers. So that's one. But here, the one you quoted, 242 on the screen, let's read it in context. Children of Israel, remember my blessing wherewith I blessed you, and fulfill my covenant, and I shall fulfill your covenant, and have awe of me. And believe in that I have sent down, confirming that which is with you. See, here's the key. I'm sending this down that confirms what you have, so believe it. Now, it makes no sense to say, hey, believe what I sent down, confirming only a part what you have, because there are parts of it corrupt, because that would be grounds for the Jews to say, false prophet. And be not the first to disbelieve in it, and sell not my signs for a little price, and fear you me, and do not confound the truth with vanity, and do not conceal the truth wittingly. Well, you can't conceal something you don't have, Dr. Andani. And perform the prayer and pay the alms, and bow with those that bow. Will you bid others of piety and forget yourselves while you recite the book? Now, I don't know if you want to argue that in this context, the book refers to the heavenly one, because it's saying it's reciting that book. So even it's a heavenly one, they must have a replica of it on earth for them to recite it. Let me just give you one more, and then I want you to engage the argument. Now, since you quoted Sunni expositors, you quoted them. Here, I'm going to quote Qurtubi, whom you listed as one of those who thought that pretty much the New Testament is not the revelation of God. Okay, now, Tafsir al-Qurtubi, volume 1, pages 338, 339. That means the Jews, and the book here is the Quran, while what is with them refers to the Torah and the Gospel. So now we're back to the point I'm trying to make. I can give you more. It says confirming what is with them. And here, a Sunni exegete who doesn't believe the Bible is uncorrupt admits what they had was the Torah gospel. And the argument is this revelation is true because it confirms what you have. So my question to you is, here, what would the Torah and the gospel be in their possession? And then how can you tell me it's only confirming a part of it? Because that would be an argument against Muhammad. They'll say, oh, so you're saying our scripture's corrupt? All the more reason you're a false prophet.
Okay. So number one, this is an internal critique. So if it's an internal critique, I have to repeat myself because you're sort of missing the logic of this.
Educate me.
Yeah. So when you make an internal critique, you grant the belief system of the other side, and you try to start with their belief system and you try to lead them out of their belief system. Okay, that's an internal critique. And later today, if you want me to show you, I can show you 4 Christian dilemmas that are also internal critiques, just so you can see what this is.
That would be too cokey, right? So let's get on the subject.
No. I'm just as examples.
You can clearly see how Dr. Andani keeps trying to deflect. This is a common tactic with our Muslim friends. Whenever they are in a defensive position, they tend to want to attack the Bible to get out, instead of using the Quran to defend themselves.
So firstly, it's an internal critique.
You're academic. Yeah.
Okay. So the second thing is, these verses are not arguing. They're not saying the Quran is true because it confirms what is with you.
Yes, it is.
It's not. No, it's not an argument.
That's what it is.
It's not an argument.
Reading. Sorry, Dr. Kandani. I'm not here to grant your reading. That's the argument.
Okay, so then I don't grant your reading, though.
Okay,
but I don't grant your reading. So then your dilemma doesn't work. If your dilemma relies on me granting every way you read the Quran, then your dilemma is just talking to yourself.
Okay, no. What it proves is the point we've been making. The Muslims cannot deal with their own scripture, so they have to argue the way that you're actually making my case. So I just want to make it clear how you're making my case. This is where you're up against the wall, because if you just read the text, someone comes to the text, and not assume what you're assuming, just reading it, the argument is clear. You should believe this book because it confirms what is with you. But then the Jews are saying, no, it doesn't. It contradicts your false prophet. You see the dilemma, so you have to deny it, which you're actually making my case. This is your dilemma. You can't grant the plain reading because there's nothing in the context that says it only confirms a part of what they have. Can you show me that in the verse?
Okay, so 2 things. Number one, there's the word because is not there. It's not saying it doesn't say believe in the Quran because it confirms. The phrase confirming what is with you is describing, it's more like an adjective. It's just describing what the Quran does.
Guys, this is the point where they begin to lose comprehension of basic English.
It's not saying believe in X because it confirms what is with you.
What does it do, though? You're saying so believe in X.
Sam, let's let Khalil kind of finish this point here.
Okay. I'm sorry,
okay.
my fault. Because I'm saying
the word liana because is not there. You can check the Arabic; it's not there. So it doesn't. This is not presented as an argument the way you're claiming. Now, I get you read it that way, but I'm not obligated to.
I don't mean to. You want to bring up my article? You keep putting it down. Bring it up. So okay. Sorry, I apologize. Continue. I don't mean to cut you off. My apologies. I just want to bring it up.
It's okay. So I'm not obligated to read the verse that way, okay? Because actually, what's going on here is the confirmation, and I've already talked about this, right? There are multiple reasons why it's not confirming everything. Because in Surah 2, right, there are beliefs that are with the Christians, such as the sonship of Jesus, which are denied. So what I think you're doing, and this is a broader point that applies to what you said at the beginning of this discussion. So you said that, all these examples where the Quran opposes a biblical teaching, you use that as a data point for premise 2. But that data is also relevant against premise 1. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
premise one is the Quran affirms the Bible or affirms the New Testament. That's premise one. Premise two is the Quran opposes the teachings of the New Testament. But
okay.
all the data that you furnish for premise two is a knockdown of premise one.
Okay.
And the only way you could argue the only way that you could sort of make an arbitrary split and refuse to apply the same data to premise one that you put into premise two is by just being arbitrary, by having an assumed conclusion.
Can I
But
address your point? Because this is not like, I'm not China, but we need to interact more than just, okay. Uh, Doctor, you want to have your cake and eat it too. I want people to go back and hear your presentation. You yourself admitted that there is a minority view. I don't know how you determine it's a minority view because it's a significant minority view, and I can list Bukhari and others, but I want people to go back because he wants his cake to eat it too. Did we not hear you say that one plausible interpretation, which is not yours, is that yes, the Quran confirms the New Testament, and yet it doesn't teach divine sonship in the Trinity. So your point is moot because what the Quran would be attacking is the sonship attributed to Christ by Trinitarians. But you acknowledged that you can read the New Testament away as Unitarians do and deny the divine sonship of Christ in the Trinity. So that means even according to your argument, the Quran is not contradicting the contents of the New Testament. So why do you want your cake and eat it too?
so that's part of response number three. My whole presentation was an elaboration of response number one, and I said that.
But
But
I'm
if
engaging with
you,
what you're saying.
the thing is, Sam, you don't buy what I said, which is fine. Like you have every right to be not convinced, and maybe the audience is not. That's okay. So if we end up like I'm trying to show you, because remember, this is not an argument that Muslims invented to screw themselves over. This is an argument that you guys bring. So I'm saying, look, you bring the argument, and we Muslims have three walls of defense against this Islamic dilemma. And I'm defending on the front line on wall one. And if you get past me, that's fine. Now you have to go deal with Ali Atai and Reza Shah Kazemi. That's wall two. And then if you go through wall two, you have to go to Said Ahmed Khan with wall number three. That's all I'm showing. And I'm holding up wall number one. And I think I have the right to do that.
Okay, now let's come back. But so I'm going to get past your wall one, but I'm trying to show it does not logically follow. You're an academic and you're a professional, and I respect your position. I'm not just saying to say it. I mean that. So it does not follow just because chapter 2, 116 denies what you believe to be the sonship, that God has a son, that it's then denying the New Testament, even according to one of the positions that you articulate, which you don't accept. So, granted, you don't accept that view, but it's still a view that nonetheless shows that the Quran can be denying the Trinity and still confirm the New Testament. So, I'm going to ask you again, in light of these verses that speak of confirming what is with them, where do you get in these passages, not other passages that you assume to 116, 117, I can give you chapter 9, verse 30. I know what the Quran says. You're assuming that because these statements say God has no son, and the Nasara, who say that Messiah is the son of Allah, Allah fight them, that means it's contradicting the New Testament. No, it would only mean it's contradicting their interpretation, which falls under one of the passages you cited, chapter 3, verse 78. They twisted with their tongues, but it doesn't mean that the Quran is attacking the text. So I'm trying to have you prove to me from these verses that it's saying the text is corrupt. You haven't done that, Dr. Andani, so I'm waiting for the evidence. Give it to me.
So again, Sam, you assume that the Quran confirms the New Testament. You assume it, and then you want evidence that it doesn't confirm it. But you have to first show me, where does the Quran say this 27-book New Testament is revealed by God? Where does it say that?
That way. It says,
where does it say that?
What's with them, I'm going to answer you, Sir, I promise you I'm going to answer you.
Yeah, so where?
Okay. When it says confirming what was with them, and in 566-68, it says that the Jews and Christians are to uphold the Torah and the gospel and all the revelation sent down to them. I'm going to ask you again, historically, what is that revelation given to them? See, I'm asking you, you're not answering. So I'm going to ask you again. It's not just Torah and gospel. you focus on the gospel, it goes beyond the gospel. It talks about what is with them, and they didn't just have the gospel. Even if you want to put in the apocryphal gospels, that's your dilemma. That means the Quran is confirming those apocryphal gospels, and therefore the canon of the Christians is bigger, not smaller. But specifically in 566, let me show it to you now. 566, 68, and I can bring in the study Quran, which is also modern Quran. I'm just telling you, it's not my view. So people think it's, no, you even admitted it in your opening. I want Christians to go back, clip this. He admitted, yes, there have been Muslims in the past, and there are also present Muslims who agree with my view. The Quran does not teach that the Old and New Testaments are corrupt, but they are the scriptures entrusted to the Jews and Christians. Now, Dr. Andani, even though you threw these two under the bus, I'll ignore them. I'll just go with what it says. I won't read Torah, Old Testament. I'll just read it as Torah and
I mean, it doesn't say Old Testament. You're using these amateur translations.
No, it's not
says
amateur.
Torah. It says Torah and Injil. I don't know why you use.
I'm going to challenge you, Dr. Andani. Show me where the Torah in your Quran is something that is defined as given to only one prophet. Where does it say that?
Well, in Surah 6, you have to realize that in the Meccan period, Torah and Gospel are not used. Only Kitab and Hikmah are used. So in Surah 6, it describes the Kitab given to Moses.
Torah.
Oh, I'll get there.
Please get there.
Yeah, so Surah 6 describes... The word Torah is not in the Meccan part of the Quran. We have to keep that in mind. Torah and Injil only are used in the Medinan part of the Quran. So in the Meccan part of the Quran uses this generic term kitab. So it talks about the kitab given to Moses, in which is guidance and light. Later on, a decade later, in Surah 5, it talks about the Torah, in which is guidance and light given to the children of Israel. So the description of the Kitab Musa and the Torah are basically the same, and their functions are the same. And if you don't believe me, go read the Harvard PhD dissertation.
Give authority, not to the internal Quran.
Excuse me, can I finish?
Go ahead, sir, because I'm trying to address that. You didn't answer my point.
Well, I'm literally answering your point.
Yeah, let's let Khalil finish.
Well, you said interaction. Okay. Yeah, what do you want me to do? But go ahead.
I'm very happy to interact with you, but and correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but I've been trying to remain silent while you complete your thoughts, and I'm just trying to do the same thing. So,
can I just address that, though? The point is...
I don't think Khalil finished his thought
I'm not addressing his argument. I'm saying what he just said here. The only reason why I'm cutting off is not because I want to cut you off. It's because I don't want you to just bring in other points. And when you bring a point, I want to address it immediately, lest it becomes lost. That's the only reason why I'm doing it. But finish your point, because I just want to repeat what you said.
You asked me, how do you know the Torah is the Kitab of Moses? Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay. So if you track the Kitab Musa, if you track that throughout the Quran, everything it says about the Kitab of Musa, everything it does, okay? And then the description, then if you track the word Torah and you track the Torah's description and its function, you're going to find that they're about the same thing. And if you don't believe me, because this is just a stream and I can't demonstrate it, go read the PhD dissertation of Professor Mohsen Goodarzi. He's a Harvard professor of Quranic studies. His entire PhD dissertation is on this very topic, that the Kitab of Musa is the Torah.
Okay. Now, can I address you? Can I address your point?
Sure.
Okay. I'll do you one better. I'll give you the Salaf, because again, remember, you went to a PhD, a modern academic. I'm going to go to pre-modern Islamic exegesis. I'm going to quote the Sunni position, where you're going to have Ibn Kathir admitting that the Salaf used the word Torah for all the scriptures of the people of the book. So You can appeal to modern scholar. I'm going to appeal to Muslim expositors, pre-modern scholarship. Let me get the article. So let me now address your point as I bring you up this article. I just got to put in the right words. First of all, I want everyone to see what you did. You went to chapter 6. You went to chapter 6 where it says a book is given to Moses. Folks, I want you to notice it never said that book is the Torah. Then he made the logical leap in assuming since that book has guidance and light, and the Torah has guidance and light, it must be the same book because it's given to the children of Israel. But then the gospel is also guidance and light. Does that mean the gospel is identical to the Torah? Even in your position, it's not identical. But more importantly, the Salaf say the Torah means more than the books of Moses. Here it is. Ibn Kathir on 757. Please don't throw Ibn Kathir under the bus because you referenced him as one of your points that agrees with you. New Testament is not that revelation. Here it says, it was common in the speech of our Salaf that they described the books of the people of the two scriptures as a Torah, as some hadiths concur. So you haven't proven your case. So I'm going to come back to...
Sorry, Sam, I'm having trouble understanding the relevance of your point. So firstly, so what does the meaning of the Torah have to do with the present discussion? Number one. Number two, Sam, why are you appealing to a scholar, Ibn Kathir, when the same Ibn Kathir holds my position that the Bible is not preserved? Why are you making an appeal?
Wonderful, because since you appeal to Ibn Kathir, holds your position, your same authority now refutes the other part of your argument. That's why I'm appealing to it. But firstly,
which other part of my argument? Because I haven't talked about the Torah in my argument. My argument is about the Gospels and the New Testament. So if you accept Ibn Kathir, if you accept Ibn Kathir, then I don't know why we're here, because Ibn Kathir holds my position. He holds number one. And Qurtubi, by the way, holds position number one. He doesn't hold position number two.
You want me to address you? Want to talk over me? Because now you're cutting me off.
Yeah, let's let Sam come in here.
I know Danny's getting heated, but it's okay. We're professionals.
He's not getting heated. He's over there smiling, chilling, having a good time. Everyone's having a good time.
Okay, let me repeat.
I'm having fun, so please go ahead. I'm enjoying this.
I love you, guy. You're a professional, man, and I'm honored to share the platform. I mean it, because I'm just some internet apologist. So for you to share this platform when you actually rub shoulders with academics, that's actually, I consider that an honor. So God bless you. But coming back to the issue, if you remembered why I said it, because in your slide you mentioned Ibn Kathir, you mentioned Qurtubi. So since you appeal to them holding your position, I'm using now the very sources that you appeal to show they agree with you, to show now they disagree with you, that the Torah is limited to the books of Moses. Now, coming back to the first question, why did I mention it? Because you threw Muhammad Ahmad Samir under the bus saying, Torah doesn't mean the Old Testament. Yes, it does. According to Ibn Kathir, they're right, you're wrong. Here, let me read what he says. So you threw these people under the bus, ad hominem them, because they're not academics. Well, I'm not an academic, so why are you sharing the platform with me? But let's come back to this. It was common in the speech of our Salaf that they described the books of the people of the two scriptures, Torah. That means Muhammad Ahmad Samira are being more faithful to the historical context of what these terms mean and to Islamic tradition. But that's neither here nor there. We actually forgot the original point. What was the original point? Do you remember what the original point was? When you said, nowhere does the Quran confirm the 27 books in the Testament. And I said, au contraire, because let's go back to the point, which was the initial point. That's why I stop you. It's not because I'm trying to cut you off. When you keep going on and bringing other issues, I got to keep up. Here, one more time. 566. Now I'm going to ask you the question. We're going to go with your preferred translation, Torah and Gospel. Had they followed the Torah and the Gospel, and what was revealed to them? It's not just Torah and Gospel. It says what was revealed to them from their Lord. And then again, it says, tell the people, look, you have nothing unless you follow the Torah and the Gospel, and that God has revealed to you. So I'm going to ask the question, which I didn't get an answer to, at least maybe not to my satisfaction. Since the Quran doesn't just say the Torah and the Gospel, it says Torah and Gospel, whatever was revealed to you, can you now tell us historically what else did the Jews and Christian have that they believed was revelation to them that the Quran tells them to uphold?
So for the umpteenth time, Sam has asked the simple question once again, and we are all waiting for the answer. Let's see how our good Muslim scholar fares this time around.
Okay. So firstly, the opinion of the Salaf does not entail that that's what the Quran means by the word. You know, and we recognize this in modern academia, that the Quranic exegesis of the Salaf or whoever it is, there's a big gap between that and what the Quran actually means. Now, the reason why I put tafsir scholars on my slides is not because I appeal to them, but you appeal to them. You cite tafsir all over your articles. You throw tafsir at various people. So, in anticipation that you would do that, that's the only reason I have tafsir.
When you had a presentation with Paul Williams, that's the reason why you cited them? Because in your 2-hour presentation with Paul Williams, which I watched this week, you said to him, pre-modern exegesis of the Quran. You mentioned, right? So were you mentioning the tafsir because of me? You had me in mind in your presentation with Paul Williams?
Okay, so the presentation on Paul's channel is an academic presentation. So I made 2 claims. I said, from the academic critical perspective, this is the view of the Quran, which is the view that I put forth. Then what we do is, as an academic activity, you track how was the same issue understood by post-Quranic scholars. So as a good scholar, I showed a Mu'tazili view of Jahiz, I showed a Sunni view of Ibn Taymiyyah, and I showed an Ismaili view of Qadi Noman, right? And that's called reception history. I was not telling Paul, you know what, Paul, because Qadi Noman says this, you should believe me. I never made an appeal to tafsir. But what I note is that when you argue theologically, and that's what you do, and I don't mean that as an insult by any means, because I have a lot of respect for theology, and I also do theology in some of my published work. So when you argue theologically with other Muslims, you appeal to tafsir. But I find we're quite selective. So when Ibn Kathir says something that's making a mini point that you like, you'll quote Ibn Kathir. But then when Ibn Kathir says, for example, his commentary, Surah 12, verse 111, where he says the Quran only confirms parts of the scriptures of the people of the book that are true, and it doesn't confirm parts that are false, that's my view, you say no, that's inadmissible.
And just like that, our good Muslim scholar deflects once again, giving us a tutorial on how to debate as a Muslim. Waste all the time making arguments about everything else besides the point. Thanks for watching this video. To watch the full debate, the link will be in the description.